we need to understand what success looks like and how do we measure it along the way. So when we roll out technology to the company, we always do that and then make sure that we have the success metrics set up at the beginning. We have technology that serve our clients. So we want to make sure that the AI piece and then the technology piece can also create better outcomes for our clients. So we also measure that impact through client outcomes.
Okay, Nicole and I are here with Yao. Yao, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Yao Morin. I'm the CTO for JLL, which is a commercial real estate company that
Yeah,
works. We are in 84 countries, 100,000 employees, a big company.
that is huge. And
Mhm.
we're coming from the multifamily space and primarily North America with the folks that we talk to.
Yeah.
Did JLL start in North America or where did they start?
Actually, JLL starts in London,
Uh,
and it was about 200 some years ago.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it has a very long history to being commercial real estate, and we do all asset classes as well. But in North America, we are most focused on um, offices, industrial, retail, and everything in between.
Wow, super
Mhm.
cool. Just meaning, usually we're talking to companies that are like less than 10 years old, sometimes like maybe
Yeah,
20 years old,
yeah.
but that's super cool that,
I was in a kind of CTO CIO forum, and then there was a competition about how old the company is. I obviously won because I was like, no, no, not trying to be competitive, but we are a 200 plus year old
Yeah,
company.
yeah, well, also
amazing.
look at the name. The name has been JLL since the beginning.
I think it starts with as well. I can't tell you. I think it
Okay.
starts with Jones something
Okay.
and then become JLL.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but you didn't start with a name that was like OpenAI or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
something where it's like it will die off. It's like
yeah,
they have a name that will last the test of time in this
yeah.
case. And when did the technology become a big focus for JLL? As
Yeah,
far as you know, like I don't want to
right.
pretend you have to be a
I
historian here, but
yeah, I know. I was like, where do you how much time do you have? We have 200 some years of history.
yeah.
So JLL has always had a very long history of using technology, as you can imagine, with 100,000 people doing business in 84 countries. You can't do without technology, right? Um, even just like having basic technology that makes things work. But JLL really started to change its relationship with technology um, in about 2019 when JLL decided to start this technology arm called JLL Technologies, and what so what that does is really put a focus on technology and then how can we use technology to transform how we work as a company and also the industry as well. So I would say, ever since that, we have made great progress in really advancing technology in the commercial real estate space. And recently, we have been very much focused on AI and how do we leverage AI in the commercial real estate space.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think of technology even back to with like Wells Fargo, where
Yeah.
they're, I don't know if you call it their logo or whatever, but they've got the horse and carriage, and it
Yeah.
was like because
Yeah.
it's like they're using that to transfer money and
Yeah.
communication across far distances, and so
Yeah.
I think technology, just our idea of what
Yeah.
technology is, has to change, and Reed often talks about tooling, like what tool are we using today? It's
Yeah.
just a different way to
Yeah. You
handle
have to
things.
have some technology to do business nowadays, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, could you give us some tangible examples of what that means for JL?
Right.
It's from 2019 to now, or maybe what's coming in the near future.
Yeah, and maybe we can start with something really exciting everyone talk about is for example, last year we launched JL GPT, which is our own proprietary GPT applications that train on and leverage our own data that we accumulated over the years. And we release it to the 100,000 employees across the world. And at the beginning, we were not sure how much employees are going to use, because like there are although like AI has been talked about, but there are also a fear of AI as well in the general public. And but people in general embraced it, and then they come up with a lot of different ways to use it, for anywhere from writing emails, writing proposals, to drafting some um, valuation reports, to leveraging it to identify opportunities for transactions as well. So a lot of different use cases, and
Yeah.
we have some fun ones too.
Yeah, what are some of those fun ones?
So for one time, I was sitting in the office feeling hungry, and I was like, okay, I really don't know what I want to eat. You know, you have that moment
Yeah.
too. So I asked JL GPT, hey, what do you think is good around San Francisco, downtown San Francisco? It gives me really good options, and then I converse with it and saying that I want Asian food, and then it keeps it keeps giving me really good recommendation. And another time is we have a client event, and then we were doing something really fun to ask client, hey, what do you prefer for your cocktail? And then ask JLGPT to come up with recipes to make cocktails.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, and
That's
then
super cool.
and then we ask the clients after they order their drinks whether they like it or not, because we want to see if the recipe actually hit the spot or not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Well, it sounded like the employees really embraced the technology, embraced the change.
yeah,
Did you have to do any like change management in terms of mindset? I think it is super important that
yeah.
folks understand like the
Mhm.
technology is coming, but you had mentioned there's that fear of like maybe
Right.
this could replace my job, or how did you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it's actually pretty complex in the real estate space. Even in yesterday's panel, we talked about tech adoption in the real estate space. How do we get that right? I think there are many different ways to go about it. One of it is training, and the second thing is you really want to build something that based on um, who your users are, and then their feedback. So what's successful for JLGPT? We have more than 10,000 users weekly, active users weekly, and
Wow.
so it's very popular. Um, we think one of the main reasons is we continue to hear their feedback and continue to add new features to JL GPT to make sure that they feel like they are heard, and what they're asking from a product feature perspective is there. And then also we establish communities and platforms for them to share their how they use JL GPT in their day-to-day work, so their teammates can get inspired to see, oh, I can use that too, because this guy I work with on a daily basis use it that way. So once you get people inspired and then see their colleagues are using it, and then that's where you can get over the barrier.
I
So
love that. It's
yeah,
so important because from a company standpoint, you have to have both this like top downs, bottoms up
right.
approach where it's
Yeah,
like, yes, we're investing in technology,
yeah,
but it's really the users who make it and
yeah,
have those use cases to be creative and make it their own and not just maybe use it how it was intended, which has this great upside
yeah.
when for intended purposes that maybe you all didn't think of potentially. So
Exactly,
that's
because
exciting.
like we are on the technology side. We don't know everyone's day to day, and JL
Right.
is so big, and everyone's job is so different, and then it's really hard for a technologist sitting at our desk and imagine how they would use it. So like having the community is actually extremely important in a very complex enterprise like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
How have you, I guess, operationally? So I think when you're running a large company, or frankly any company, and you're deciding to invest in something new or some
Yes.
technology, there's an expense, and then you have some assumptions to say like, oh,
Yes.
we think this will help us in X way. So I'm curious to know, what were your assumptions ahead of time, versus how those panned out, and how you're now adjusting or measuring the
Yeah.
effectiveness today.
Yeah, so in general, the way that we do technology in JLL is we always measure. We always have uh, to your point, assumption on what the ROI is or what the benefits are. So at the beginning, we will always set up, hey, we need to understand what success looks like and how do we measure it along the way. So when we roll out JLGPT and any other technology to the company, we always do that and then make sure that we have the success metrics set up at the beginning. Um, so for us, for JLGPT specifically, our our metrics was very simple at the beginning. Is will people adopt it? And and because like that will start measuring, hey, how useful it is. You may have already heard a lot of companies talk about using AI and what is the actual ROI, how it's going to impact the bottom line. I think it's really early right now to really nail, hey, how much like time we will save or how much margin will increase. But adoption is a really good metric at this stage of AI, and then a lot of company experimenting what AI can do for their company. So that's how we land on that success metric, and then we way past what we have set up, and it's really an amazing journey to see how a 200-year-old company quickly adopt a technology like this.
Can you share what that meant to you guys? Meaning, like, is it a 40% adoption? Is it more on the, I guess, like daily active user kind of thing or monthly active? Is that how
Yeah.
you're thinking about it? And then where you guys wanted to be versus
Yeah,
where you've landed?
we set up weekly active user goals,
Okay.
and like I said, we have more than 10,000 weekly active users
Okay.
and more than 15 to 20,000 monthly active users in a company of 100,000
Yeah.
people with from with different backgrounds spread out in the globe. It's a very impressive numbers. We did some benchmark with other. I talked to my CTO, colleagues in other companies, and they think that is a really impressive number. So at the beginning, we just hope that there will be 1,000 active weekly active users, but we are 10 times that now.
That's
Yeah,
incredible. I
that's
appreciate you
huge.
sharing that because
Yeah,
many companies that are even starting a business, they're like, I hope I can get to 1,000
yeah,
active users just selling to multiple companies, let alone
yeah,
to a company. So to
yeah,
do that internal entrepreneurship is awesome and
yeah,
exciting. How if that's the case, and you guys were thinking, let's get 1% of the organization to use this would be success, and
yeah,
you've 10x to that.
yeah.
But as you were saying, it's hard to know what the real ROI would be, or it's early to measure that. How do
Right,
you then think about, like, that's great that you have great adoption, but you guys could have put out like a meme creator maybe, right?
right.
And had the same sort of success,
Yes.
but you must be looking for some sort of payoff
Yep.
or operational something,
Mm,
even if you can't get it down to the ROI. So just
right.
help us through how you think about that as a technologist,
Yeah.
introducing things.
So the way that, I think AI in general and technology in general can impact a real estate company, it's in many multifacets. Okay. So the way that we have laid out our AI strategy as well as a technology strategy is in we measure in 5 ways from an impact perspective. One is on whether our clients can get better outcomes. And after you hear my 5 things, you will
Okay.
see what the ROI means. The if because we have technology that serve our clients, so we want to make sure that the AI piece and then the technology piece can also create better outcomes for our clients. So we also measure um, that impact through client outcomes. Second is whether we can differentiate ourselves from our competition, whether by deploying AI and technology, we can have better win rates, right? The third part will be how our employees can get more efficient. Can we, is it, we will start measuring it. For example, we roll out GitHub Copilot for all our developers. Do we see more story points per sprint? Right? Those are hard measures we can measure. And then we also measure a little bit more the softer ones, such as NPS of our employees, do they feel happier in the company because we provide great technology and AI products to our employees so that they can feel like they can focus on what they really love and then do less of the repetitive things they don't love. So those are the 5 ways that will measure the impact of AI and technology in when we roll out.
Yeah, I love it. I love that there's multiple angles and it's
Mhm.
not just like how can we generate more revenue or how
Yes.
can we generate more.
Yeah.
But you included all of that. And employee
Mhm.
happiness, I know that's near and dear to your
Mhm.
heart, Nicole. You do that for us. I
Yeah.
love that that's also part of the way they're
Yeah.
thinking about
How
success.
about you? How do you think about technology, impact in your company?
We don't have 5 categories, so I love that concept of having a framework there.
Yeah.
But I am huge on having some sort of an assumption, and then we're huge Jim Collins fans. He wrote "Good to Great, Built to Last" these
Yeah.
books, and he talks about like you need bullets and cannonballs. And so bullets are like do a small test before you fire a cannonball at
Yeah.
it. And so with things like generative AI, we're considering like, okay, what's a bullet to us today? So we have 110 employees, so we're whatever 0.1% of your size.
Yeah.
It still feels like there's a lot of humans here and a lot
Yeah.
of considerations we have to take
Mhm.
that we have to think about. But like Nicole's team, they're like, okay, should we use generative AI for helping handle email correspondence, or should we be using
Yeah.
it for handling reports to pull out the key insights
Right.
of reports so a human, so we don't need basically data analyst work. Like, could we remove some of that kind of fruit? So we're huge fans of setting an assumption
Yeah.
and getting a tool and building a tool for that assumption
Mhm.
versus let's just throw it into the mix,
Right.
more salt into the whatever the
Yeah,
pot.
I
Yeah.
love what you said too about just for it being early on AI to really have the hard measure on how it's
Mhm.
increasing the operational efficiency, because I think that's a good validation for us because we are so young. Our company is 7 years old now, and we're
Yeah.
smaller, and we're trying to move super fast. And
Yeah.
with moving so fast, we expect almost instant results. And so, it really trying to take a step back and say, okay, we believe that this is the right thing to do, and we might not be able to see the payoff
Mhm.
until year 2, year
Yeah.
3. But if we could tie it back to things such as employee happiness,
Yep.
right now my mission and role is tying employee happiness to customer success, ultimately
Yeah.
to revenue, with the belief that like
Mhm.
happy employees do good work, retain
Yeah.
clients, and then grow the
I,
business.
I, I think it's really important to think that way. I want to share a story that really, um, really is a daily reminder for me lately. Is that is we didn't think about that, but it makes sense. So we were getting feedback from our employees about using all these AI products we roll out to the employees. One of the stories was this employee in Australia, and she has dyslexia, and she always felt like having that will be a hindrance to her career. And um and then she shared that once she has JLGPT and helping her to write emails, summarizing emails, write documents, and then draft things, and she felt like that is not holding her back anymore.
Wow.
And then I share it with my team, and everyone just feels so inspired that we are actually helping our employees to to overcome
Yeah.
barriers. You can't measure that. That nothing, no metrics will it will show up in no metrics, but stories like that and the
Mhm.
impacts that you're making on the employees, I believe that in turn it will benefit the company and make it a better
Absolutely.
place to work. And then, you know, li- like you said, happy employees
Mhm.
will make us all more productive and efficient.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And those are the
Yes.
stories and anecdotes that actually like hit home and
Yeah.
help employees feel more connected to the mission.
Yes.
And so I love a good metric and a good number. We can measure it all day long, but at the end of the day,
Yes.
it's like we're all humans trying to do good work, and
Mhm.
we have these stories, and sharing those I think is super powerful.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
Well, Nicole, before we run out of time here, you had gotten to see Yao speak at a session recently.
Yeah,
Is
yeah, it
there
was a great keynote panel yesterday. I'm super curious for you, like, what are you most excited about for technology? I'm sure you get pulled in so many different directions, and how
Yeah.
do you know, what is exciting you that's helping you like stay focused?
I think there are two things really stands out from yesterday's panel. One is the emphasis on data. So while we're in a world that, you can't have a conversation without talking about AI, I'm so glad to hear that my panelists and then, people still care about good data, good quality data. To me, I believe data is the foundation of AI, and it is the continue to be the competitive advantage of a company wanting to stand out from their competition, because with the generative AI technology being evolving, the barrier of using AI will continue to get lower. Then you ask yourself, what is your competitive advantage? It's not going to be, oh, I use AI, but everyone uses AI, right? It's the data that you have. How do you leverage AI to really make your data shine and provide insight to help make decisions and get better outcomes? So that's one thing that stands out for me during the panel that I'm really, really glad to see. The second thing is kind of a validation about tech adoption in real estate. I think it's still a top of mind for a lot of people. Definitely will continue to learn how do we drive tech adoption in real estate, and we all see that it can be very powerful for real estate and companies in this industry. But we are still figuring out what is the best way to really get the tech adoption going.
Yeah,
So like it's kind of like a validation.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think there was a lot of validation around just like the human element and the
Yes.
customer experience. So it's like,
Yes.
yes, we're, sitting here at this massive tech conference. We're talking about tech, we're talking about AI, but the common thread for all the sessions I attended yesterday, including yours, was like, well, we're still using tech to enhance the human experience, and we need
Yes.
humans also to do that. So it wasn't, tech is taking over. It was how do we
Right.
empower people to do work better and also meet the customer where they're at. I think it was Nick who was
100%.
talking
Yeah.
about like this platform concept. So for his company, I think he has commercial, residential, logistics. And so talking through like, how do I help people find a home, but also find a place to work and like just meet them where they're at and be this like one platform for all of these touch points of their lives. And so just really inspiring to really continuously put ourselves in the customer's shoes to understand what they need and then try to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, 100%. Nicole, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That's great.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time with us today and for sharing. I've really found it fascinating, those numbers of internal adoption. Like I said, it's awesome to see how you are setting goals and how the company sets goals, but then also how you can blow those goals out. You start with what may seemed probably like a lofty goal at first with 1,000, and then you're like, oh shoot, we actually underestimated this. So there's way more meat on the bone here maybe than we thought, or we're giving ourselves credit for. So
yeah, I love a good surprise.
Yeah, it's
totally,
super inspiring.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. I was having a lot of fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Get down.